Okay, so we talked about your visual effects team earlier in this section. In this lesson, we shall focus on the nuances of choosing your own vendors, also part of your badass visual effects team and your team members. So, what then are the ideal traits in a team member? Let's hear what our experts have to say when it comes to both selecting visual effects studio vendors to work with and picking people to add to their badass visual effects team.
How to put together my own team is actually to realize and to see what I actually need in the team and also see what I don't have. And if the shot is urgent, I could probably just hire a specialist, or if I have time that I can just also, most of the time that I would prefer to actually training my own artists. So at the same time they grow. I usually choosing the candidates that actually has the creative eyes, and also they know the techniques. And it does not necessarily need to be super professional, but it just they showing that aspect that they can jump in and do the works, and also at the same time there's a potential that I can bring them to upper level.
Every once in a while, I've been on a show where I may, especially on the post-viz process, I may need roto help or matte help or something like that. And I've utilized a couple studios that I've just become familiar with, and I've built good relationships with them. But it has only happened on maybe one or two of my projects. On the flip side, what I do deal with is my artists and my team. And I handpick my artists based off of their capabilities and the needs and demands of what I need for the film. So if I have a film that is character driven, with a lot of character animation, I'm going to be mostly looking for any type of character animators. Ideally looking for strong generalists who can do everything from model to texture to light to animate to comp. But I do go through an extensive process of vetting my artists so that I am surrounded by the most optimal team.
Well, primarily it's about what they've done before and what they've done well before, what they're really good at. So if you're going to be breaking things up into whatever people do nowadays, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 20 vendors to get your show done. Sometimes it depends on, how much time and money do you have for post-production? The primary concern is, what do they do? What have they done well? We'll bid them and see what the price is.
Very important that you make sure that you get a vendor that you have confidence that they can do the work. So that's where you need, if you're a good supervisor, you need to be familiar with a number of possible vendors. You get back their bids, their suggestions as to which parts of them they wanted to bid on. Then you would usually go through, compare their prices.
There's different factors that influence those decisions on every project. Sometimes projects will have a history and experience with particular vendors that they like to use, so you're not really spreading the net far and wide. Other times I'll work on a project where they don't know where to go, who they want to talk to, and then it's a matter of, obviously being aware of who's out there, who are the people on the ground doing the work, and having at least a basic understanding of what different people's strengths are, and again, capacity and things like that. You also need to decide, depending on, say, the scope of a project, how many vendors you're going to use. I don't usually put together in-house teams so much. If and when I've done it, and it's the same as working with vendors. Usually you start with who's gonna lead, who's the leader, who's in charge, who's the supervisor. Find the lead person and find out who works well with them as well.
Realistically, what you need are the following. For vendors, a team that is communicative, meets deadlines, and is solely focused on getting the job done, with the added bonus of being fun and friendly to work with being a plus. For your own visual effects team members, same thing. You want someone that will be open to communications and feedback, meets deadlines, and is focused on getting the job done promptly and properly, with a side order of fun and friendly being a plus. Now, how you go about finding them, however, as you've heard, varies depending on your existing ties to people and studios. There are many sources you can choose from, as you can see right here, through referrals, demo reels, recommendations, directors or producers pick, or even just through cold outreaches. The routes I usually recommend for both vendors and team members would be referrals and recommendations through your existing network. Now, if you are new though, then you'd have to go with the demo reels or perhaps ask your director or producer if they already had someone in mind. Alright, so that is all for this entire section on visual effects supervision and pre-production. Now, before we move on to production though, I have a little assignment for you. Remember the very first lesson in this section where we went through the process of a visual effects breakdown and script analysis? Well, I'd like you right now, as aspiring visual effects soups, to perform your very own visual effects breakdown for a script of your choosing. Either a short film script of 5 pages or so, or even 2 to 3 pages of a feature film script you found online. Either way, perform a breakdown analysis on that baby and share your visual effects breakdown with the class here. As usual, if you have any questions on this assignment or anything else we have covered so far, please post your questions on the Q&A board and they will be answered. Okay, once you're done, we'll move on to the next section on visual effects supervision and production.